Welcome to Thursday Thought Leaders with Harvinder Narula on BW Healthcare World. In this week's Thursday Thought Leaders, we feature Pankaj Nawani, who is the CEO of Carepal Secure. With experience in health protection industry, Pankaj has navigated various leadership roles contributing to the development of innovative healthcare solutions. His journey from software sales to leading a digital health protection platform offers valuable insights into the intersection of technology and healthcare. Join us as we explore his perspectives on the future of this industry and the challenges it faces. Pankaj,
Yes,
thank you so much for joining us on BW Healthcare World Thursday Thought Leaders Show. Uh,
thank you so much.
Pankaj, over the years, you are someone who's transitioned from software sales to leading innovative health protection solutions. How do you see the health protection and insurance industry evolving over the next decade? In fact, just before we started the conversation, we were discussing that whatever we do innovative, we see the results as something that evolves over a decade. Uh, and,
Yes.
and what role do you see digital platforms like yours uh, play in this transformation?
Yeah. So thank you so much, Harvinder. Absolute pleasure talking to you and learning from you about so many things. Yes, it's been a long journey from selling softwares to selling insurance to now, building a health ecosystem. And essentially, the way I see things happening over next decade is that the overall levels of protection in the society, they are going to go up. Finally, there is a certain arc to the way societies develop. I mean, just like they say Maslow's hierarchy for a person, I think that is the same case for societies also. That once their basic needs of say food, shelter, security are taken care of, the next is to make sure about health and education. Enough focus is being given, and I think we are there now as a society, and that's a very very powerful change which is happening. We were just discussing about Ayushman Bharat. Now the sheer impact of having 50 crore or 50 60, the bottom 40% being insured for 5 lakh rupees, right? Now that is going to create a ripple effect across economy. I mean, 1 rupee invested in health. I mean, there are many studies which have shown that for developing economies like ours, I mean, we are a giant economy in absolute terms, but when you look at per capita and many other factors, we're still a developing nation, right? And developing nation, every rupee invested in health and education seems to there are studies which measure the impact as 10 to 12 rupees coming back into economy, right? So this is going to create a massive change in the society. What is available to the bottom half of the society will eventually create its own demand in the middle class and the upper classes as well. And it will the other thing is that if you look at how government is implementing these programs, they're not just looking at it as a insurance thing, right? That okay, if you are ill, go to a hospital, we'll pay the bill. They're setting up an entire ecosystem, right? Whether it is in terms of Ayushman Bharat mission, the Abha IDs, which creates digitization, creates its own record and accuracies, right? That will lay base for a new kind of healthcare system to emerge, I think, which will be which will combine the best of previous models. I mean, I look at Harbinder 2020 as a very watershed moment, the impact of which is still to be ascertained. Because what it showed was that the earlier model of healthcare, which is hospital based, right? I mean, over last 200, 250 years, it was designed for a certain society. It was designed for certain situations. But with pandemics, with greater, natural catastrophes happening, right? We've been served notice that the previous model, health is important, right? Securing health and having a protection net. What is happening after 2020 is that it has also given fillip to new ways of delivering healthcare. I mean, the technologies were always there, right? I mean, for example, teleconsultation is not a new concept. It's been around for a long, long time, right?
Correct.
But it did not take off, right? Similarly, so many other things that are being tried now. We will see emergence of a new healthcare delivery model, and I think companies like us, I mean, who size gives you a lot of advantage, size and history, but it also slows you down on innovation, right? So companies like us, and there are so many. I think what we will deliver to society is we are you could consider the labs of innovation. So many models being tried, and the models which are found scalable, and scalable is also very, you know, we forget that what is scalable for say Mumbai and Delhi is not may not fit say rural Rajasthan, and what is fit for say rural Tamil Nadu might not fit for say rural Mizoram, right? So many models will be tried, and we are the so to say vanguard of the revolution. So yeah,
Correct. So,
so exciting
Pankaj,
times really.
yeah, absolutely. And Pankaj, let me move towards your personal, your journey. No, you held a lot of leadership roles in the past as well. What are some of the core principles that guide your leadership style? And the reason I ask you this is that the work that you are doing today requires your team to do a lot of innovation. So, how has your leadership style evolved, and how do you inspire innovation and growth within your teams?
So as I was saying, Harvinder, I mean, leadership style is best asked, and response got from the team, right? But if I were to talk about myself, one of the most important, articles that I ever read was about Pygmalion effect in HBR, which talks about this aspect that just as in Greek mythology, I mean, Pygmalion, makes a statue and falls in love with that statue, and his love makes the statue come alive. Now that is what I found a very powerful argument, and it has worked repeatedly for me, that your team and your team members will respond to the expectation you have of them truly deep in your heart, right? I mean, you can't fake it, because God has gifted us with a very strong nose. We can sense the difference between words being spoken and the thought that's going on behind. So my thing always is to have to have very high expectations of the team, and lay the path out for them. Don't micromanage. Be careful in selection. Be careful in selection. It is every job requires a certain kind of skill set and mindset. So be very careful in who you are selecting. But once selected, you have to have absolute trust. You can't second guess. And in that process, I have found, yeah, sometimes things go wrong, but that can go wrong even when I am running the show.
Absolutely.
By and large, I think, Harvinder, selecting people right, giving them the right tools, and giving them the freedom to achieve the goals that you and they both have co-created, and people surprise you. people surprise you on the upside.
Correct.
Because there is, as a company, there is only that much that you can pay, and there is always someone who's willing to pay higher, particularly if the guy is good. And if pay was the only thing that was motivating, right? We won't have stability at all in today's world, particularly today's generation. They're not scarcity mentality types. They are self-actualization types. That if whatever that might be, it might be products, it might be analytics, it might be sales, it might be compliance, right? These are guys who don't really think that they're working for you. They're working with you. Yeah, sure, you're the boss. And because it is you carry more risk, therefore you might get paid more, and therefore you also get to organize their activity. But make no mistakes, they are not working for you. They are working with you, right? So I have found that whether you are in an established corporate like Bajaj or a Standard Chartered, or you are in a startup, doesn't matter. Select right, empower, and trust. So that's something that has worked well for me, and yeah, by God's grace, up until now, it has given me very good returns. So yeah,
I'm sure, because I kind of resonate with what you're saying, because I also believe that hire the right set of people, and then I keep saying that give them the permission to perform, because then you let them do what they need to do to achieve what they've been hired to achieve. And and I also believe that people don't make mistakes purposely, you know. But
yeah,
if you do not allow them to do things where it's okay to fail, then they'll stop innovating. You know.
true.
But tell me one thing. I mean, would you choose somebody with the right attitude over somebody who's better skilled but does not have the right attitude?
All the time, all the time. Skills, and Harbinder, I mean, while it might look like a very politically correct answer to say attitude over skills, but there is a practical reason for it. Because you see, skills that are required can change, right? So you bring in a product manager. I mean, whatever say you want in a product manager in terms of skill set, whether it's technology, whether it is ability to research, UI, UX, etc. Now, by the time he's working, I mean, the market begins to shift, right? So what you thought is a relevant skill set can quickly become, I mean, if not irrelevant, can become, something like, okay, I mean, that's not going to cut it. You don't have any background in customer research. Go find how to do it. There is enough material available, that if you are genuinely curious and you have the right attitude, whether it is YouTube, whether it is these large uh, you know Coursera type platforms, educational platforms, or so many others, Upgrad, etc. That we are living in a matrix world, actually. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you will recall Matrix, I mean, I don't know Kung Fu, upload Kung Fu, right? I don't know how to fly a chopper. Okay, here is a program for chopper. But
Correct.
what matters is the attitude. If
Absolutely.
there is rarely a skill. I mean, for extreme technical skills, right? Say you could say underwriting in insurance, and even in underwriting, commercial underwriting. The way you underwrite a building is very, 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 very different from the way you underwrite, say, life insurance proposal. है ना? So there are some very, very niche jobs which require certification, and the risks are so high that you are better off with skill set, relevant skill set. No amount of attitude can make you a good accountant, right? So there are some jobs, but in a company, I would bet that not more than 2 to 3% of the jobs are like that. Otherwise, now it is about attitude. Not only in our company, I find that all across.
Got it.
In
I
fact, I
think
see that coming back also, Arvinder. If you will notice, CXO, the rise of CXO was with fall of the designation called general manager,
correct,
right?
correct.
I am a CMO, right? Chief Marketing Officer. Marketing is my job. That is where I started, and that is where I will end if I don't become CEO
Yeah.
or whatever. CFO. I began as a executive in finance, and that is where I will end. Abhi wo, I see the general, skill set coming back. Especially as one of the guys that I follow a lot, Naval Ravikant,
Uh-huh.
right? He says that everyone is a multivariate individual, and specialization is for insects.
Correct.
So,
No,
I mean, of course, I mean everything that you say, there is always a counter to it. But yeah, generally, I think attitude over skills any time of the day.
we are living in a dynamic world, and I think we are living in an era where you need to unlearn to learn, you need to unskill to reskill yourself, keeping in mind the dynamic environment that we are operating in.
True,
uh,
true.
Let me come back to the insurance and the business that you are doing now. With the rise of the insurtech, how do you balance the integration of the cutting edge technology powered by AI with the human touch that is often needed in the healthcare and the insurance sector? What trends do you believe will shape the future of insurtech in our country?
I think that's very relevant thing to discuss and debate, particularly AI, right? The way I see is that as far as human touch is concerned, that's not going anywhere. Okay, that's not going anywhere. Again, I like to read a lot, huh? And therefore a lot of my business theories come from science experiments. So there is a very famous experiment that a baby monkey, okay, uh, so when we think of like mother child relationship in a very functional way, the function of a mother is to feed the baby, nutrition and security, right? I mean, if you take a very functional view of things, so there, the baby monkey was given like two dummy mothers. One mother, there was a milk bottle, right, and dressed up, right, but no warmth, no warmth. It is like milk is there, you're secure, and that is that. And then there was another dummy with more warmth and that natural connect, jitna they could have had created. It's a very famous experiment, and the functional aspect would have had said that the baby monkey will attach itself to where it is getting nutrition from, right? Warmth. Why do you need warmth? Because the temperature of the room is fully controlled. It's not that he's feeling cold, right? But lo and behold, the baby monkey would take his nutrition from the dummy which had milk, and then quickly go on to the dummy which was giving warmth. Okay, I mean it's a very famous experiment, and that I think sums up the need for human touch. That's not going anywhere. That's not going anywhere. When a patient is feeling a bit nervous, yeah, everyone does. We might pretend we the the smile of the attendant or holding of your hand by the doctor, that's not going anywhere. In fact, I think what is going to happen is that technologies will make it cheaper to deliver that care, right, to the right person at the right time. Essentially, what does technology do in field after field? What it does is that there is a resource which is scarce, right, and it enables distribution of that resource in a more efficient way just when it is required. So I mean, when you look at doctors, when you look at healthcare workers, when you look at, I mean, even people not directly related to healthcare, but even say the hospital clerk, right? How is their time best utilized such that they can do things which only a human can? right? I mean, if you know, a lot of, when even today when you go to hospitals, right, a lot of administrative work, आपका नाम क्या है, आपका आधार क्या है, etc etc, and that is required what to do. Now that I see technologies automating that a lot, and more the human touch, right, coming into play. So it will be a big enabler, and I think it will, as we were discussing, new healthcare models will emerge. Where I personally think that we might want to, where we might want to have a debate is that, you know, technology, and particularly technology which can think for itself, which is what AI is geared towards efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Now, how do you solve this conundrum? Say there are five patients in a hospital, right? One requiring a heart, another requiring a liver, another requiring a lung, someone requiring a spleen. Huh? So there are five lives, and along comes a patient who just has fever. Now, a very extreme example of efficiency could be that this one patient, you know, his collection of organs, right? He could, you know, you take out organs, you can save five people. I mean, and in philosophical terms also it is there, na? One for many,
Yes.
right? ये अक्सर होता है ना, that if I have to sacrifice for many, let that sacrifice be made. Now I think, you know, we as human beings, when I'm saying this, you're finding it off-putting and scary, right? I mean, that's not, I mean, if you were a doctor, that's not what you would do. I mean, even if you knew for a fact that this one guy and his organs can save five, that's not what you're going to do. But for a technology which is thinking, which is geared for optimization, I'm not saying it is going to happen. I'm just, you see, when you want to make a point, you take the point to extreme, right? I'm not suggesting that AI is going to start making those calls,
Yeah.
but as a point, I mean, you know, so where I see, AI usage, uh, I think the ethical aspects, you know, of usage, should be debated and regulated. I'm not saying let's use or not use. So, say for example, I mean, you know, a more relatable case. Say if AI systems come to conclusion basis, I mean, you know, see, they would have lakhs and crores of data points. Huh? They come to conclusion that a person who's in a certain state is unlikely to survive, and therefore, you know, whatever the resources are better spent somewhere else. Now, who takes the call, right? Who takes the call? So those ethical concerns are something that and it's being researched, it's being debated, and frankly, it's some of the best reading that is available today. So I think by and large, AI and all other supporting technologies, even including some nanotechnology work and stem cell and so many other things, right? They're just going to increase the human touch, make it more efficient, make it more affordable. But yes, the ethical aspects of technology usage, that's a new area that we are entering in, because up until now technology has not been able to think for itself, right? Now when it begins to think, then you are entering a new zone altogether. Who knows?
Got it. So, Pankaj, before I go to the next question, why don't you tell us very briefly what does Carepal do? Carepal Secure do? Very briefly.
So yeah, briefly, our you know, our mission is that, you know, when you donate for someone that you know or feel for, and we come from parentage of a crowdfunding platform. So whenever you are donating for someone, you are feeling for them, right? Now, our job is to educate our donors, right? That look, this particular family or this particular person, for whatever reasons, right? He's under trouble. He's in trouble. So please help him. But at the same time, and thank you for your donation, by the way. But at the same time, you got to evaluate your levels of protection as well. Are you are you fully protected? Now, our thing is to educate the customer about what are the gaps in his protection levels. That is on one side. The other is that we believe that one of the the way to make to have a, let's say, 2.0 of insurance is to have products which are not very heavily hospitalization based. In India, for historical reasons, health insurance has developed into hospital based indemnity plans, right? Now, that's good because a lot of expenses are in hospital. But the problem that this model has is that the lived reality is more on clinics, it's more on diagnostics, it's more on the pharmacy, right? So we are trying to, so on one hand we are trying to make sure that our donors and our customers understand the risks that they are in, and then they take the right call. And at the same time, we should build a solution which while incorporates the best elements of indemnity architecture, it also beefs it up with other more relatable aspects of healthcare, right? So that would be the brief two pronged agenda that Carepal Secure is working on, and yeah, that's the.
So, Pankaj, in that industry where the customer trust is paramount because he's come and he has that level of trust in your system because he's coming and making a donation, but now you're asking him to take care of himself and keep himself adequately insured. How do you ensure that innovation within Carepal Secure aligns with the needs and expectations of your customers, especially in the digital first environment? I mean, do they ever feel that they're being taken advantage of, or their data is being used for trying to upsell? What has been your experience?
Yeah, you make a very valid point. So while we can believe that we are doing the right thing, there is always a chance that someone might believe that look, I came and I wanted to support someone. Maybe I know them, maybe I don't. Could be both ways, right? And why should you why are you trying to cross sell and upsell, right? Now, good thing is good thing about being a startup is that you are always always trying to be efficient with your resources, right? And startups are always looking for more money, right? I mean, we don't have a treasury of a big industrial house backing us. So for a startup, it is even more in interest that you engage in what is commonly called as permission marketing. That, I mean, it's not my case that say 1 lakh people donate on platform roughly, Impact Guru, that I can convince, let alone 1 lakh, even I can convince even 20,000. No, because if I try to do that, the sheer expense and energy that I would have to spend would be way too high, right? So we engage more in terms of education, right? In terms of permissions. So when we have to promote something, right? I mean, if I don't say anything to you over your email or over your phone at all, then how will you come to know about the possibilities? But when we are say suppose I'm sending you an emailer and it has clear unsubscribe thing, right? That okay, you say suppose you've donated for someone who's suffering from cancer, right? Now, if I send you some information about, cancer, which typically I think you should know, but even educated people. So, for example, it surprises me that a lot of people don't know. When they hear of cervical cancer, they tend to think of it as something which impacts women only. Now, that's not true. It impacts men also. It impacts women disproportionately, but it spreads through HPV virus, right? And so many people, firstly, they don't know, then they know, but some of them will know that, yeah, there is some vaccine for it. Okay. So it's, and the sad part, Harbinder, is that it is easily preventable. So some will know that there is a vaccine, so we let them know. I think most don't know that the vaccine should be given to young boys also. Now, when we are engaging, not, by the way, not everyone finds that content so good that they are looking for it, every week in their inbox or in their WhatsApp. But some do. Those who don't, they will unsubscribe. They will not, And when that happens, I mean, it is in my own interest. I have been in one of the most push industries like insurance, and it's been my experience, whether selling as agents or in bank assurance, that look, you can't force your way into someone's assessment of risk. Yours is to educate, and that has been, even in physical sales, the best way. If I want to if I want to have Harbinder as my customer, the best thing is to let Harbinder be. Assume that the customer is a sensible person, बट यार कांस्टेंट एंगेजमेंट तो आपको अपने मतलब फैमिली से भी नहीं चाहिए होता, राइट? So don't push. So go, as I was saying, that we need to conserve our resources, do permission marketing, and therefore you know we don't chase vanity matrices. That, I mean, we've done so much business, this, that. Ours is to have ours is to have high productivity, because high productivity is a signal that your entire process is working well. I mean, say suppose there is a company which is doing, say, 1,000 crores versus a company doing 200 crores. Now, 1,000 crore looks better, but what if to get those 1,000 crore they are having to spend 1,200, while the other one who's doing 200 is doing it for 100? Now, which one is going to sustain over a period of time? Now, that is where I think excessive push is not a good idea. Low touch, I think, is, and respect the choice of the customer. वैसे भी फायदा होगा नहीं. I mean, if you want to pummel someone with constant emails, constant messages, constant calls, you'll only irritate the person, and yet you'll spend a lot and gain nothing. In fact, you'll lose. It's not this approach, as one of my teammates says, that this approach is not useless. It is less than useless, because useless means zero. This is negative. You're losing money and trust and brand. So light touch. I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's like we are not making any attempts at all. Of course, we contact through the campaigner himself. A lot of our campaigners, by the way, Harbinder, because they have, you see, when insurance is sold, na, I mean, insurance is sold about this could happen in some distant future. They have seen it here and now. They become evangelists themselves for their families. कि यार मेरे साथ तो ये हो गया, जो भी था मेरी किस्मत थी, whatever, right? But please, आप इंश्योर करो आपके साथ ना हो रहा हो ये, right? So we get a lot of support from there, and so that's how we are. Permission based marketing is our model, which is why, if you will see, you don't see much of our ads either, right? and we have 80,000 plus customers. So ठीक है, I mean,
So Pankaj, you obviously are partnering with a lot of insurance companies. Is that correct? Right?
yes.
So how are you looking at partnering with companies whose products over a period of time could be evolving? So you have to keep making new partnerships, have the products evolve, and then you're also in a very heavily regulated industry.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure that Carepal Secure remains compliant with the industry regulations, as well as is innovating and evolving with the passage of time through partnerships?
Yeah, so that's such a good frame to the question, and personally, I think that regulations are good. Perhaps it comes from my insurance experience, right? You see, in fields which can have such deep impact on a person's life, right? I mean, if you're selling, say, some knickknack, what regulation? That's fine, right? But you're selling things which can make life and death scenarios, right? It could be the difference between a fully cured patient and happy patient, recovered, versus a family devastated. So regulations help, because regulations are result of, you see, no matter how big a company you are only that little percentage of the entire country, mm, less to say of world. Regulations are wisdom of some of the sharpest minds with some of with very very deep experiences, right? So while they might look stifling at times, but generally regulations have made sure that there is a very fine line between innovation and madness, right? And the best part is that while you are innovating, you can't, you see, you can't. I mean, it's like trying to see, trying to diagnose yourselves, right? So I think regulations, particularly IRDAI's regulatory framework is very strong, and not only is it strong, it is flexible also. You have to engage with the regulator, right? If your intent is right, if your ideas have right backing, and the regulator has been very flexible, by the way. I mean, Indian insurance regulator has been both prudent and flexible. So my absolute and firm belief is that you should be within regulations. However, what you bring to table as a practitioner, someone like me and so many others, is that we are closer to the world in terms of how it is changing, right? Regulations are wisdom of past, maybe not so distant past, maybe even past as like say 4 years back. But from 4 years back, a lot has changed in terms of technology, in terms of society's expectation, in terms of how societies organize themselves, right, for their basic need. Now ours is to find better use cases. So say for example, I mean, you look at teleconsultation. Teleconsultation, and a lot of people, they take extreme positions that look, teleconsultation is the way of future. Why do you need a doctor to hold your hand, or pat your back? Now that's the same monkey example I was giving. At the same time, there are extremists, who will say that, "Arey, what teleconsultation, Baba? You have to look at the person, you have to feel for him, etc." While in reality, I mean, when I talk to customers, the biggest use case of teleconsultation is not this or that. It is when, in my previous experience, say I'm in Bombay, my parents are in I don't know, say Kanpur. My mom is complaining about a toothache. Now it's not no one's case. Customers are not saying I won't take her to hospital. But if she has a toothache or headache or whatever, right? Can I have a first level consultation done through mobile? Say I'm in office, right? and I have a headache. So many times it used to happen that array, today is Monday, when will I go? Where will I park? And then the entire week goes by, right? That is where it is being used. So ours is to find those use cases, right, for the services that we can offer, huh? And then conduct disciplined experiments and share those learnings. I mean, if the innovation that you're coming up with. So, say for example, one thing that I'm deeply passionate about and working towards is, say, insurance for people who have had one of these catastrophic illnesses, say cancer, say liver transplant, etc. In earlier, even as recent as 10 years back, it wasn't possible for risk models to emerge where a viable insurance could be given to this person, right? But now with digital technologies emerging, with more data being available, with the Racha cards being available, right? Uh, there is so much that can be done, and that is one of our criterias for partnership. Now, I mean, our partnership criteria is simple, that the insurer, I mean, we are very, very small compared to an insurer, okay? And therefore, to say that we know the domain better, I mean, that's not a very prudent statement to make. But what we bring to table is a very good lab to conduct disciplined experiments and then to build scale on that. Now, in pursuit of that, there can be a giant insurer who's wanting to be innovative, like say Star. We are tied with Star, or there can be a smaller upcoming, health insurer, say like Cigna, not at the same scale, but doing well and wanting to disrupt market. huh? And we work with both. We work also with Care. Ours is that, do you want to innovate, and are you looking for long term partnerships? Because I believe that transactional relationships, whether in personal life or professional life, they don't work out. The transaction cost itself is so high, it's not worth it. So innovation, a high customer focus, and penchant for conducting disciplined experiments. And it's not my case that everyone who has cancer should be given insurance. I understand underwriting logic. As I often tell my partners, I want to create a win-win-win. It should be win for the customer, it should be win for my partner, and it should be win for me, right? So those are the frames, that be within regulation, because, and don't disrespect them. Have wisdom of people with deep experience, right? Every regulation came into place because someone somewhere died, right? We must remember that someone somewhere had a very bad experience, and then a regulation came into place. So respect them, innovate, and where you are finding regulation to be a challenge, engage with the regulators, engage with whoever can help shape that agenda. And yeah, I think that's working well for us, I think.
And Pankaj,
So
before I let you go, my last question for you is, what do you think are the opportunities that are there, keeping in mind the need for more insurances, the need for being adequately insured, and what are the challenges that you feel we would be facing in the next year or two? So, opportunities, trends, and challenges.
opportunity though, Harbinder, I mean, it's like in health insurance, it's mind-boggling in India, right? Most people, I mean, in last 20 years,
Can you
one,
give us
I
some
mean, a
numbers?
lot of people tend.
Can you give us some
Sorry.
numbers? Can you give us some numbers in terms
Yeah,
of what?
I was coming to it. So let me put it this way. A lot of people say that nothing much has changed, Baba. I mean, 1% was general insurance penetration rate in 2002, and it is where it is even today. That's factually that might be correct, but there is something which has changed, which is awareness. In 20 years, industry has a lot of awareness, backed, of course, also by things like COVID, governmental action, etc. So I think we are at cusp of something really. I mean, health insurance and protection is going to take off in India in a way that's not been seen. There was a recent, I think, I was reading somewhere, and IRDA reports only that health insurance has overtaken motor, if I'm not wrong. This is for the first time. Motor insurance used to be the driver of industry, right? Health insurance has overtaken it, and there is so much. I mean, when you look at average, health insurance protection levels, that for all players. I mean, I say policy bazaar, whether it is a bank, whether it is an agent, whether for 20 years, I don't see the opportunity for anyone at all. I mean, I believe that today, while this market for health insurance might be only, say, 40,000 odd, say roughly $1 billion, the way I see this economy growing, the way I see the awareness, right, for the need for right protection, I think in next 10 years itself, we'll be looking at a 30-40 billion dollar market, right? So that is the opportunity. The trends that I see in not only insurance but protection space is that digitization, and as we were discussing, AI on one side and governmental action on another, right? That will combine to create products and opportunities which were here, here to not available uh, for our predecessors in business and in technology. The very way that you organize. I mean, today when you see the user experience is very broken in the sense that everyone looks at the customer from their own angle. Insurance is looking at policy number. Hospital is looking at the bed number, right? The pharmacy is looking at the credit card, and not to blame. I mean, that's the model. But what happens when you have one single identity, right? There is so much. I mean, when insurers are underwriting a policy, imagine if they can access data like credit. What happened with credit cards, right? Once CIBIL came into play, I mean, we are of the generation where we saw CIBIL come into play, and what it did to credit infrastructure in this country. Now, same will happen for insurance, protection, and risk. Data will be available, frauds will go down, incomes are rising, and more than income, awareness is rising, right? So all of these augur very well for this sector, and yeah, I think this is the place to be, whether you are a journalist or whether you are a manager like me. I think this is the place to be.
Absolutely. Pankaj, it's been such a beautiful conversation and a couple of things that came out. In fact, I've made a list of 5 things that I have, kind of understood from this conversation with you are that, one, the overall protection will go up. There is no doubt about it. We have the best times when it comes for the insurance industry, as well as for a population which could look at living safer, that we can look up to. Second is, we must keep in mind what you brought out very beautifully was that when the government invests in education and health, the returns that they can expect are far more. So it's not because they have to do it. It is because they are working towards creating a stronger economy, because the economy gains. Third
Correct.
is that government is not just investing in trying to do something for a personal gain or an agenda driven. What they're working on is creating an ecosystem that's going to outlast them. you know so they're taking the best practices of what have worked in the past, as well as what they have learned from what did not work, especially when we experience pandemic and post pandemic. The experiences, experiences and customer experiences. So I think it's an amalgamation of what is the traditional system versus creating innovation and evolving into a new system. Fourth is, what you also brought out very beautifully was that we must have respect for the regulator. We must have respect for the regulation, because there was a reason why this regulation was brought in. And, along with whatever we are doing, there has to be a wisdom that we must use while innovating. And last but not the least, again, what you very beautifully said was that it is an amalgamation of what AI as a technology can do, plus what the government action that is taking place by creating new opportunities and user experiences. So I think that's what is going to define where we are headed as an industry. So Pankaj, thank you so much for speaking to us at BW Healthcare World. I think these nuggets were
True.
brought out so
True.
beautifully.
Yes. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Yeah. Bye bye.